Hey guys, this is Demon here bringing you the post challenge analysis that I promised you for my Pokemon FireRed challenge. So, and that challenge was, can I beat Pokemon FireRed without attacking? And the technical answer is yes, but I did make a few mistakes, and I will talk about that later. So here we go. So the challenge: can I beat the game without attacking? I had I originally had five rules, but I changed it down to three because there were some things that I found out while playing the game, especially in the beginning too. So I ended up changing the rules a bit. So the rules are: number one, I cannot use any attacks that deal direct damage. So no tackles, hydro pumps, hidden powers, etc. So tackle and hydro pump do have like a base power like 40, 120, and those kinds of moves I took out of the equation. I cannot use those. Hidden power, it technically does not have a base power. It's based on like your let's see, your no your EVs, but that does deal direct damage. So as soon as you use the move, it deals damage. So I count that as well. So moves like that, I can only use one of any evolution line. So I can't use double Butterfree, no double Cloyster, no let's see, no Shelter and Cloyster, things like that. So this is just to keep some variation in the team, and so that I don't like try to cheat my way through or like a bunch of like super good move Pokemon. Just like how Lance has like three Dragonites or two, I think. And the final rule is keep grinding to minimum. So the game would be too easy if I just grinded my way up to level 100, and that's kind of a pain in the ass. I am too lazy to do that. So nah. Moving on. Why Fire Red? So at first I came up with the challenge: can I beat any Pokemon game without attacking? And the thing is, for Pokemon games, you do start off with a starter Pokemon, and you do have to look at the early Pokemon that you have access to. And out of all the games, the first generation Bulbasaur, he or she gets Leech Seed. And that's pretty important because I do count Leech Seed as a viable move for not dealing direct damage as a non-attacking move. So I counted that. As for like all the other Pokemons and like this generation and the following generations, I couldn't find any that dealt any non-direct or like didn't have any good attack non-attacking moves. And as a result, I went with Fire Red just for Bulbasaur. Now, could I have done Leaf Green? Yes, but the difference is obviously what Pokemon you have available, and I chose Fire Red because Fire Red had more Pokemon that I wanted. So that's basically the Wi-Fi Red. So for my target Pokemon, I originally came up with a list of Venusaur, Butterfree, Cloyster, Executor, Mr. Mime, Haunter, Lapras, and Clefable. However, in my final team, I decided to take out both Executor and Clefable. So in the case of Executor, Executor is basically a more inferior version of Roar or Venusaur. In my opinion, like the moveset that was available as well as like stats, I personally thought Roar would be better. Plus, I had Roar since the very beginning, so it's like I've already been training and leveling up Roar, whereas like Execute was far under level compared to like Roar or Venusaur. So I chose to just keep Roar. Now it would be nice to have like another Leech Seeder, but that wasn't too bad of an issue for me. I did have some issues with like PP running out or power points running out, but in the end, I decided that the other teammates would be better. Shell is kind of debatable, but I also will talk about that in the movesets. Now, as for Clefable, I did originally catch a Clefairy, but Clefairies are kind of rare, and I was having a hard time finding the nature that I wanted. So I was like, you know what? Let's just get on with it, and I'll just not use it. And in the end, it worked out fine. Clefable would have been really great because Clefable gets access to Cosmic Power and Minimize, so that would have been really good tank wise. And I was also kind of planning to give Clefable access to Toxic, so it could have also been a Toxic Staller. So yeah, that was my original plan, but I was like, by that time, I was like, let's not go with it. And in the end, I did come up with a suitable team that included Mimian, which had a very similar role, except it was more of a baton passer than like the actual tanker. So yeah, that was the result of my final team. So for the final move sets, this is mostly the move sets I used to battle the lead fort. So starting off with Floaty or Lapras, I gave Lapras Perish Song. That was definitely the main reason why I took Lapras was Perish Song. Confused Ray, Surf. I should have deleted, but I didn't really have a fourth move to use anyway. And finally, Roar. And Roar was mostly for spikes. Moving on to Shell. Shell had Whirlwind, which is also used for spikes. So dealing a good amount of damage if I didn't really want to rely on like something like Supersonic. But Supersonic was there for the confusion. And Shell also had Poison Powder and Stun Spore. And the main reason why I took Butterfree was because of the ability Compound Eyes, which boosts accuracy. And that was really important and the one thing that put Shell above Venusaur in terms of these kinds of moves because the accuracy was a painful. Like even on Butterfree, like Supersonic wasn't that accurate. Poison Power and Stun Spore did well enough, but still that accuracy boost did help me tremendously to not lose my sanity. So yeah, that was mainly why. It was more of a fragile Pokemon, so that was my only issue with Shell. Now onto Cloyster. So Cloyster comes with Withdrawal, which is a good move for tanking all the physical moves. Supersonic for like the delay and also the passive damage for confusion. Protect is mostly there for when I'm using other moves like Leech Seed or Curse. That way I could just protect like between like half and half. That way they can take the residual damage. And also I could recover off more of the damage I took in the turns I wasn't protected. And spikes obviously because I was using spikes to deal good damage to grounded Pokemon. So flying types and levitating Pokemon are not affected. So next up, Roar or Venusaur. Venusaur got Toxic. I ended up replacing the Poison Powder on and just put Toxic. And it was because Roar is more of a bulky Pokemon, so I thought like he could like stall for a while and whatnot. Synthesis obviously for the healing, because Leech Seed sometimes does not heal enough, especially when I'm against a Pokemon that is super effective damage. And finally, Sleep Powder. And Sleep Powder is mostly there in case I was battling a poison Pokemon or a Pokemon that was dealing a lot of damage. And so Sleep Powder was there just so that Leech Seed can like put on more healing or residual healing. So yeah, that was the main moveset for Roar. Shade. So Shade got Spite, Curse, Confuse Ray, and Destiny Bond. Destiny Bond was there for like some really troublesome Pokemon. So for example, Gary's team had that Charizard and it kept on like outspeeding. So sometimes when I battle Gary, I would put Quick Claw on Shade and then just pray to the RNG gods to give me the Quick Claw effect. Otherwise, my run more or less ends there. So at least I could take out Charizard or Charmeleon with Destiny Bond. It also works with other Pokemon, but that was the main Pokemon I use Destiny Bond for. I also use Curse, because Curse does very well against the Grass and Poison type Pokemon that this team is rather weak against. Like Cloyster, it has spikes, but it's also weak to Grass type, and Giga Drain very much takes out the residual damage. Same thing for Floaty. Roar isn't gonna be able to, wouldn't be that great against them. On the other hand, Shade is part Poison type, so he can very well resist both the Poison and the Grass type moves. So that's great. And Spites is there just to, like reduce the power points for any troublesome moves. Like whenever they would so I would spam Confuse Ray, and when they do land a move, I could just spite that move. Otherwise, I would spam Destiny Bond because I usually don't use that move anyway, besides the Charizard. And then finally, Mimian. So Mimian I got through a trade. And I had Barrier, Double Team, Substitute, and Baton Pass. And obviously, just looking at the set, Mimian was definitely Baton Passer. I did have Light Screen and let's see what was and reflect as well before. But that was before I put double team and baton pass on. So that was there for that. Mimi unfortunately does level up faster because it is a traded Pokemon. Mimi is a traded Pokemon, so he was able to level up a lot faster than the rest of the team. So that was great. But even with that additional level up, as you can tell from my team, everybody was rather underleveled. Like this is the final results after beating Gary. So I just like opened up the game for the post game and I just took screenshots of all their final move sets. And as you can see, like Floaty, I put 6 rare candies on only for the bulk because Floaty does get a lot of bulk. So I thought the rare candy was worth the investment. So I put 6 rare candies on Floaty. So technically, Floaty should have been like level 44 or something like that. Shell, level 42. Cloyster, 46. Roar is the only over-leveled one. And the reason for that is because I usually put Roar first just to use the Leech Seed. So that's where Executor could have come in as like an alternative Leech Seeder, but I ended up using Roar, so it's like fine. Plus, I was spamming the Pokemon Center. I mean, I may not have grinded as much, but I definitely used the Pokemon Center a lot. But Nurse Joy seriously needs a promotion and a raise for that. So thank you to that. And Shade was a surprise. Originally, I did not care for Shade or Hunter because I can't fully evolve it because I would need to trade and I can't really do that. But the great thing about Shade is the move sets for a lot of Pokemon have a lot of normal type moves. So that was very great with the ghost typing. Plus, Shade gets Levitate, so ground type moves also aren't effective against Shade. Let's see what else. I think that's all there is to explain. At the very least, you could definitely say I kept to my rules for minimized grinding, because this is a very underleveled team, in my opinion. Like Gary's team, everything was like level 50 and above. Like I had Pokemon like Butterfree, who's like level 42. Now Butterfree didn't really have much of a spotlight, but Butterfree came through when Butterfree needed to come through, so it was fine. So yeah, I think that's all there's to say about the movesets. Now, thoughts on the challenge. So the rival was hella hard. I mean, I mentioned Charizard before, but Charizard was a huge problem. And a lot of his Pokemon are actually super effective against like my Pokemon. So like I had a grass type. So he had like a Pidgeot, Pidgeotto, Pidgeot, which dealt very well against like my Venusaur. Like I kept on taking major hits for that. Poison was also taken care of by his Alakazam. Like I remember like looking back at like tier lists for like Gen 1 and whatnot. Alakazam was on top and Poison Pokemon were like heavily affected by that. So I could see why. Bug type also has similar weaknesses to grass, so that was the main issue. And so on and so forth. Now, I did have some good resistance though. So, for example, fighting has very little against me. Grass also kind of was okay-ish, but the thing is, Leech Seed does not work on grass type Pokemon, and I had to deal with Oddishes and Bellsprouts with both grass and poison typing. So my initial damage was inflictions were poison and Leech Seed. So I had to do a little grinding just for a Supersonic on my Butterfree, which was hell because Supersonic, even with the Compound Eye boost, it's not that accurate. And the Confusion was not hitting that often, so that was painful. Next, the 2 gyms I was more or less struggling and / worried about was Celadon and Fuchsia. I believe I spelled Fuchsia right. I have no idea. The Fuchsia gym, I actually beat before the Celadon gym, and that was because I could at least use Leech Seed against Fuchsia. And I did have resistance against poison or neutral due to my Venusaur. And they also were, one of them used like self-destruct, which was totally fine and whatnot. But for the most part, Celadon was the most difficult because I struggled a lot against Oddish and Bellsprouts. Imagine facing off Vileplumes and Glooms and whatnot. That was hell for me. The next point was something that I mostly experienced at the beginning and the end of the game, and that was money. So one of my workarounds when I first started the challenge was you can actually lose to Gary in your first match. So I was kind of worried because I was like, I only have tackle and growl. I believe it was growl. How am I going to deal with his Charmander? Because I'm obviously going to lose unless I actually battle him myself. So I was like, let's do some like workarounds and make some exceptions and whatnot. So I tried, but even after using tackles and whatnot, I still lost. But the thing is, the game continues after that. So it's like totally fine. I was like, oh, okay. I could totally just lose the first round, the first battle against your rival, Blue. So I ended up doing that. But there are two problems with that. One, you don't get the EXP for beating Charmander, or hit whatever starter he gets. And two, you don't get the money from beating him. So when I first started, I only had 3,000 uh, Poke dollars or whatever the currency is, and that was hard because I spent all of it on potions. Because I needed to grind my Bulbasaur to level 7, and for that I need to be able to PowerPoint stall all the Pokemon that I was fighting. Fortunately, though, I was able to get EXP through battling Metapod, but even then, like Metapod was doing more damage than it was dealing with itself with struggle, which was painful. And I also was only doing one damage at a time. And since the difference in PowerPoint stalling was 10, I would have had to start using tackle. Otherwise, I would have had to run away. So my alternative to that was just catching my own Pokemon and then PowerPoint stalling by switching the Pokemon over and over again. Because you don't use PowerPoints when you switch. So it's totally fine. So I did that. And I also caught the Metapod too, which I evolved to Butterfree. So that was fine. But that was definitely a very huge challenge for me. Like being able to just get to from level 5 to level 7. Because I lost the first rival battle. And I didn't get the money or the EXP. So that was the main issue. But I was able to solve that. But by the end of the game, I still needed money. And the reason why is because my team, you saw, right? My team was under leveled. And compared to like the Elite Four, like 5 teams like of Pokemon that are much more level than mine. And they can attack me, and I cannot attack them. Like I had to use like indirect moves and whatnot. So that was very hard. Like I had to get like a bunch of revives. And I even lost my first run on the Elite Four. So I ended up going, you know what? Let's just get out, train a little bit, and then come back in, which I did. I added like a few levels, got Mimian from the 30s to like 47 for Baton Pass, etc., etc. But I still was very low money. And on my final count, I was like, I basically spent everything except maybe like 2,000, 1,000 ish. So yeah, that was very difficult. And then finally, natures were definitely important because I don't need an offensive nature because I'm not doing any damage, direct damage. So, but I do need to stall out these battles. So I had to get very defensive natures. Like I got half of my team at least was careful nature. Like I think that's like plus special defense minus attack or minus special attack, something around those lines. So yeah, a lot of them were careful. I was hoping to I get maybe a defensive nature instead, but uh, I'll take what I can get. Especially, it's mostly because a lot of the Pokemon were more attack oriented rather than special attack oriented. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the challenge. In any case, th- hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did not watch the streams, I do have the streams on both YouTube and I believe Twitch. I did do the streams on Twitch as well. In any case, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did like. Give me the thumbs up or thumbs down if you weren't into it. I need the algorithm working. My channel is like on the low end. So yeah. And also do leave comments on what you guys thought about like the challenge and what do you guys think I should do next. I was thinking maybe I could do some Pokemon Sword because I do have Nintendo Switch, but I do not have a game capture. I tried looking for an Elgato, but they're either sold out or they're hella overpriced at like 200-300 at some places. Plus, some places aren't even selling anymore. So that was the main issue. Well, yeah, I also did say I did make a few mistakes. So you have no choice but to keep the moves until you learn new moves until you get to the move deleter. But even then, you still have EHMs. So I did have some points where I accidentally clicked on attacking moves. But in most of those cases, it made absolutely no difference. I was mostly just battling the wild, so it's kind of like I was gonna. They were already leech seeded and toxic or like poison powder or confused already, so I didn't really mind it too much. It was mostly just made no difference. Some of them even like Kadabra used recover, so it made no difference. So yeah, that was what I mentioned as mistakes. So hopefully you guys don't mind it too much. If I was actually being careful, I probably wouldn't have done that, but in a lot of cases, I was like losing my sanity over this challenge, so I just went with it. In any case, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe once again, as I mentioned, and see you guys next time.